Prime Minister has been claiming for months that he had no involvement in or knowledge of the invitation of a former Nazi soldier to the visit of the Ukrainian president. Now we know that he personally invited that same individual.
The attacks that the leader of the opposition is choosing to make against the Ukrainian Canadian Congress demonstrates the extent to which this Conservative Party no longer stands with Ukraine.
The criticism comes as the House of Commons passed a bill to modernize free trade with Ukraine. They did that without the support of the Conservatives, but opposition leaders do agree there needs to be answers about how Yaroslav Hunka was invited to a private event with Trudeau and Zelenskyy. The Ukrainian Canadian Congress has not responded to requests for comment on whether it suggested the Nazi-aligned veteran's name. All right, for more reaction on this, let's welcome Jake Landau. He is a Jewish liberal organizer who's worked for several election campaigns and is with us tonight in studio. Jake, thanks for joining us. I guess, what are your thoughts on this? And does this make you, your confidence in the party shake a little bit?
More than a little bit. I mean, let's be frank here. We applauded a Nazi in Parliament. And let's also talk about the lie of omission that the Prime Minister's office did. Months ago, when this event happened, the Prime Minister's office said, when the photo came out of Yaroslav Hunka waiting in that room on Parliament Hill, and they said he was going to have a meeting with Trudeau, the Prime Minister's office said that they had never invited him to meet with the Prime Minister on Parliament Hill. What they did not say was that they had invited him to an event in Toronto the same day with Zelenskyy as well. So it was a clear lie of omission, because it's like, oh, we didn't invite him to meet us in Ottawa, but you did in Toronto, and you hid that, and then it came out in a Freedom of Information Act request, which it shouldn't have. You should have just apologized at the start rather than hiding things, and now it looks even worse.
So Anthony Rota stepped down as a result of this. The Prime Minister's office put out a statement today that said he should have never been invited. Beyond that statement, do you think that there should be repercussions and someone should resign over this?
Well, someone in the office was responsible for inviting him. He wasn't invited by magic pixie dust. They're actually, you can't simply say mistakes were made and then nobody takes responsibility for the mistakes. The mistakes were clearly made by a human being with agency and the ability to make choices. And also, in terms of other consequences, even before this revelation, when we're talking about the report from the 90s where we talked about the names of all of these people who were admitted, who we knew were former SS members, that's still redacted, and the Trudeau government has made no effort to uncover those names. And I think, as a Jew and as a liberal in Canada, and even if I wasn't either of those things, I think it's pretty fair to say I want to know who came here that might have helped murder members of my family.
Yeah. Obviously the Conservative leader went after the Prime Minister today on this. What did you make of the Prime Minister's remarks? And he basically, turned this a little bit, took some responsibility, but turned this a little bit to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, who, as I said in the intro there, we've not gotten a comment from them just yet.
Well, the great thing is we can blame them too. Just because the Ukrainian Canadian Congress did something bad by suggesting him, and they absolutely should have known better, considering he was well known to them. He's a known public figure in the Ukrainian community. His history should have been clear. So we can certainly blame them for suggesting him, but the Ukrainian Canadian Congress didn't hold a gun to the Prime Minister's office's head and say you have to invite this person or else. Just because one person did a bad thing doesn't mean the other people involved didn't also do bad things.
Right. We talked about this on the Intersection panel yesterday, and I said, obviously the Prime Minister doesn't know all of the invitations that are sent out. How much personal responsibility do you think the Prime Minister holds here? Because his office, as we know, the PMO, is very big.
I understand both sides of that. And on the one hand, yes, the Prime Minister obviously isn't going over a list of 1,000 people to vet each of them individually. That would be absurd. But at a certain point, you are responsible for the people you hire. If you hire someone to work for the Prime Minister of Canada and they act in the name of the Prime Minister of Canada, there has to be a higher standard of conduct. There has to be a higher standard of how you act in the name of the leader of our country. If we don't hold ourselves to a standard on that front, then we kind of lose any semblance of dignity we might have left in our government.
Okay, so looking forward here, you're a liberal, you're Jewish. Obviously, as I said, this has shaken your confidence. What does the Liberal Party, the federal Liberal Party, need to do right now, and the Prime Minister specifically, to regain your trust?
They need to open up that report, and they need to reveal the names of who was allowed in here that may have been involved with the Waffen-SS. I think that, and let's assign fair blame here. Every single government, Liberal and Conservative, since that report was made, has chosen to keep it silent. But Trudeau is the one who's Prime Minister right now, and if he wants me to like him a little bit more than I do right now, he can reveal that report, he can declassify it, and there can be actual accountability.
All right, not mincing words tonight. Jake Landau joining us here in studio, a Jewish Liberal organizer.